Let's go. Hello, my nerdy, geeky, beautifully talented designers, and welcome back to the Geeks Design Studio. I'm your host, Divya Goyal, an architect, design tech obsessive, and someone who's having the most extraordinary run of conversations on this podcast and generally cannot believe this is my life right now. Episode 5, and this one is something a little different. Every single guest we have had on the show has had one thing in common. They did not take the expected path. Jonsu went from Turkey to Netherlands to build robots that make buildings from plant waste. Vasi went from Hyderabad to designing restaurant chains in Canada from his desk in India. And today's guest, she went from Ukraine to China to Poland to New York and landed in Dubai, which, if you haven't been following what's happening there right now, is the design world. And I'm going to give you the numbers in a moment because they are wild. It's basically the most interesting place on earth to be a designer right now. The city is building at a pace that should not be humanly possible. In just the first 3 months of 2025, the real estate market recorded transactions worth the equivalent of nearly 40 billion US dollars. Villa sales alone jumped 65% year on year, and the interior design market is growing at over 7% every single year. And my guest today is right in the middle of it. She's an interior designer and 3D visualizer at XBD Collective, which is one of the most award-winning luxury design studios in the Middle East, based right in Dubai. And their clients include Emaar, DAMAC, Regis, and W Hotel. And she started as a 3D visualizer, which means she has watched from the inside how the art of making spaces look real is being completely transformed by AI. Her name is Olga. She has a Master of Architecture from Xi'an Jiaotong University in China. She speaks Ukrainian, Russian, English, and a bit of Mandarin, which is remarkably amazing. And because of course she does, she is a top-rated pro on Upwork with a perfect 100% job success score, and she's here today. Olga, welcome. I'm so thrilled you're here.
Thank you very much, Dee. I have to say, hearing all this introduction, I suddenly feel like I've been lived several lives. Honestly, I think might be accurate.
Several life is accurate description actually, and I want to hear all of them. But first, how is Dubai treating you? Like literally today. What is it actually like to exist there right now?
Today it's like plus 33 degrees, which means every morning I have to do exactly the same calculation. How long can I spend outside before it becomes insanely hot? But you know, the energy of the city, that's a different thing entirely. There is something that Dubai does to your ambitions. It just amplifies it. So everything here feels bigger, faster, more. And when your job is to make luxury space looks extraordinary, being surrounded by that every day does something to your standards. To be honest, it rises them up.
So you're saying that Dubai is an ambition amplifier. And I feel like that is a whole episode right there.
Yes, it really might be.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, because your path is not a straight line. I don't even know what shape it is. Walk me through it. How does a designer go from Ukraine to Xi'an, China, to study for a Master of Architecture?
Yes, that question is still surprising me when I hear it. So, I did my bachelor degree in architecture in Kharkiv, Ukraine, in Beketov National University. And I knew I wanted to continue my studies, but I also knew I wanted to go somewhere that would genuinely challenge me and change me. Not just academically, as a person. And a government grant with a full scholarship to Xi'an Jiaotong University, yes, in China appeared, and I thought, what is the most challenging than studying architecture in a completely different culture and in different language, you know?
So you had to learn Mandarin for it?
Yes, enough Mandarin to survive. The first year in China, I was just studying Chinese from the 0 level to pass the language test, and it is on my LinkedIn as limited working, and I want to be very honest about that.
So limited working is doing a lot of work for you on that profile.
Yes. I think so. It is generally working overtime, but the experience of being in China, studying architecture in Xi'an, city that feels itself one of the oldest and most design-rich places in the world, that shaped how I think about spaces in a way I didn't expect. So, Chinese spatial thinking is fundamentally different. The relationships between interior and exterior, the importance of flow and orientation, the way light is treated as an architectural material, it entered my design vocabulary permanently.
That's so fascinating because most architecture students graduate with one spatial vocabulary on the one their school gave them, and you graduated with two at minimum.
At least two, yes. And that was before Poland, New York, and Dubai.
And so after China, you went to Poland.
Yes, first was Ukraine and then Poland. In Ukraine, I was working as an architect, and I understood that I want something else. 3D renders always were my favorite part of the project, even at university. And later, I was freelancing on Upwork from Kharkiv, Poland, which is where I really built my 3D visualization skills into something serious. Because, when you are freelancing independently, every project is a job interview. Every render you send is your portfolio. You have no studio reputation to lean on. So it's just you and the quality of your work. And that pressure made me very, very good very quickly.
Yeah, I completely get it. 100% job success score on Upwork is not nothing. It's a big deal. And that is for those of you who don't know the platform, essentially a flawless track record. Every client, every project satisfied. That's extraordinary, I would say.
Thank you. It was built project by project. And some of those projects at the beginning were tiny. But I treated every single one like it was a penthouse in downtown Dubai. Because your reputation is gathering of all. Every small project, well done, is a brick in something that eventually becomes very solid.
And then what landed you to New York?
Yes, and then New York. I was working with Yossi G for a year. My friend recommended me for this studio. And it was another education entirely. American clients, American expectations, American pace. Working in New York taught me to move fast without losing quality. Mostly, I was working remotely for them, but still, the client feedbacks come fast. The good enough for the meeting threshold is different. It's different perspective entirely.
That's quite interesting, and I totally get it. And what brought you to Dubai from New York?
Yes, then I came to Dubai at Gianna Ranella Design first, which was already at the very high end of luxury interiors. But then XBD Collective found me, and I'm still here now, which is, I want to say this really carefully, but one of the most ambitious studio I have ever seen. Scale of what we work on, the caliber of the clients here, the design culture inside the studio, it is generally extraordinary.
That's really good to know. So let's talk about the room you're working in right now, because I want the listeners to understand what XBD Collective actually is. Because from the outside, their client list alone, Emaar, DAMAC, St. Regis Hotel, the Fairmont, Rixos Residences in downtown Dubai, a 76-story tower, 260 residences, inspired by Ottoman and Middle Eastern culture. That's not a project, that's a statement.
It's really... XBD has over 120 talented professionals across Dubai, London, and India now. The Dubai office is in Design District, that's called D3, which is a remarkable place to work from. More than 1,100 creative businesses in a single district. Imagine we have Dolce & Gabbana and a lot of other design studios there. Our studio has floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over it. On a good morning, the lighting in the space is generally spectacular. And you can also see Burj Khalifa from the window.
Oh wow, nice. So you get to look at good architecture while making good architecture, huh? That's a dream.
Yeah, it is. And the pace of the work here matches the pace of Dubai itself. The city is building at a speed that I genuinely did not believe was possible until I was inside it. Off-plan sales in Dubai surged from about 1,100 transactions in 2021 to nearly 6,000 in
That's a good jump. That's a really good progress.
Ready property values are climbing every quarter. At the luxury end, where XBD operates, the demand for design that matches the investment is extraordinary.
And I want to ask you one more thing about this because I think it's something that gets overlooked. When the market is moving this fast, when clients are buying penthouses off plan and expecting them furnished within a 90-day handover window, what does that actually do to the design process? What does that speed mean for someone doing your job?
Yes, that's a good question. Because the speed is both a gift and a pressure. The gift is that there is always work. The pipeline is extraordinary. But the pressure is that the visualization work has to carry enormous weight in very compressed time frame. When a client is making a decision about space they haven't physically seen yet, making a financial commitment that for many people is their most significant investment. The render now is not just an illustration. The render is a space. It has to earn their trust completely. And we don't sell just renders or design. We sell the feeling of the future home.
You're absolutely accurate. Render is a space indeed, and this is such a powerful framing.
Yes, and it raises the stakes of the work enormously, because a bad render doesn't just lose an iteration, it can shake the client confidence, the entire project. So the craft of the 3D visualization is this market has to be operating at a level where the client generally cannot distinguish between the renders and photographies of the finished space. Yes, and that's the standard here. And of course, our work on big billboards throughout the city motivates us.
Wow, really? That's amazing. And photorealism as a professional responsibility, not just an aesthetic choice, is something that's making a move. Like, it's really important these days.
Yes, exactly. Dubai's clients are some of the most design-literate and internationally experienced clients in the world. They've stayed at the world's best hotel. They own apartments in London and New York. They know what luxury looks like, and you cannot fool them with mediocre render. They feel it immediately.
And I need to go here with you because I think you have the most unique perspective on this of anyone I've spoken to. You started your career as a 3D visualizer that craft the lighting, the materials, the textures, and the hours you would spend getting a single scene right in Corona or V-Ray. That was the foundation. And now we're in a world where there are AI tools that claim to produce a photorealistic interior render in under 60 seconds from a SketchUp screenshot. And what does that actually feel like from where you're sitting?
Well, it feels like watching someone put a very fast car on a track you've been driving for years, honestly. And you know, my first honest reaction, I was so happy that something can make my life easier. I'm probably a rare kind of designer, but you know, I'm a bit lazy. So I'm always trying to find the way to do my work faster and easier. First, AI was introduced to me by our 3D artist manager, Afzal. He showed me how to simply enhance render. And after this, I became active AI user. And here we are, 9 months later, talking about AI in architecture and design.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now AI can do interior images from the furniture layouts. It can change the lighting and materials. It can make the photo from the side look like photorealistic render with updated design and all items.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So, but what are your thoughts on it? Can it actually work and perform like a human?
Yes and no in the same time. No, we already using AI for the concept development, renders enhancement, and a lot of other things. I'm sure in a year, AI will produce even better results. And of course, it makes work faster and more productive. We can make different design options to show to the client in few hours. AI tools are genuinely transformative. Korea AI, Nano Banana, Clink AI, Gemini, even
Just countless.
Clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're brilliant for this work.
Nano Banana, I recently heard they launched the Nano Banana 2, which is going really wild.
Yes, actually it's so good. I'm using it almost every day for my work.
Yeah, I am not surprised. So the mood conversation, not the commitment.
Exactly. But for the final deliverables, the image that a developer like Emaar or DAMAC puts in their launch marketing, the render that sells a 2 million dirham penthouse at an off-plan event, no, it cannot be done with AI. Not at that level this market demands. The photorealism, the specific materials behavior, the way, a custom chandelier catches the light at golden hour, that still requires a skilled human operator and a real workflow. But AI definitely can help with this.
So you're saying it's not a replacement, it's stratification. The craft moves up a level, but the AI handles the lower registers. The human handles the virtues performance.
Yes, exactly. This is a beautiful way to put it. And I think that's exactly right. The visualizer and visualizers who are going to struggle are the ones who refuse to engage with the new tools at all. The ones who are going to thrive are the ones who learn to conduct both, who can move between AI-assisted concept work and high-craft final production, and who understand when each is appropriate.
Right. So I want to ask about the workflow specifically because I think a lot of people listening might be students or early career designers who are trying to figure out what to learn, who have Adobe, Photoshop, 3D rendering, interior design as your listed top skills.
Yeah.
And how has your day-to-day workflow actually changed in the last couple of years?
Yes, it changed significantly, but in layers. My current workflow, the concept development, furniture selection, the modeling, the material specification, and client presentation structure, it has become stronger, not weaker. Mm-hmm. You have to know the fundamentals more deeply when the tools change around you, because you're the one who decides what the tool produces. Mm-hmm. But what has changed is where I use AI. In the concept phase, I might use Gemini AI or Nano Banana to test the design direction before I open 3D software. So it's really useful. That saves time and saves the client time. It's most important.
Right.
Then once we're into detail and design, it's traditional high craft work, maybe with a small help of AI.
So the AI does the sketching and you do the oil painting.
Yeah, I love it. Exactly that. And Photoshop still lives in my workflow every single day, honestly. Post-production, I render, adjusting the mood, printing out specific materials. The human edit on the AI-generated or traditionally rendered output is still essential. The image doesn't become extraordinary by itself. Someone has to make the last set of decisions about light, warmth, detail, and everything else.
Right. So I want to talk about what it's actually like to live in Dubai. Let's talk about that as a creative professional, because I think there's a version of Dubai that gets shown on social media, the skyline, the luxury. Yeah, and everything is possible feeling, and then there's the real version. What's the gap between these two in your experience?
Yes, the gap is smaller than people expect in some ways and bigger in others, actually. The part that social media gets right, the ambition is real. The quality of the project is real. The diversity of people you work with. For instance, I share a studio with designers from Norway, Italy, India, Egypt, Syria, Philippines. So that creates a multinational team. And it's extraordinary. You cannot replace it. XBD Studio alone has over 100 nationality representatives across its offices globally.
That must be wild for your design vocabulary. You're essentially working inside a curated world tour of design perspectives every day.
It generally is. I learn something from a colleague's culture almost every week. Dubai itself, it is a city of more than 200 nationalities. 85% of the population are expats. So the city you live is already a design conversation between many different worlds.
And there must be a hard part as well in this. What's the honest and hard part?
Yes, the pace. The pace can be dramatic.
Oh, really?
When the market is hard, as it is right here, right now, clients want things yesterday, as always. An over window for luxury project can be like 90 days. The expectations is that design moves as fast as the city does. And maintaining the quality of work, you become creative standards. Your craft inside that speed is generally the biggest professional challenge I face, because it would be very easy to produce good enough work very quickly, right? But the hard part is to produce excellent work at a speed.
So that means tension between pace and craft. That's a real creative challenge of working in a boom market.
Yes, and the other hard thing, which I think is specifically to living as an expat anywhere, is that you are always building your support network from scratch. I moved here alone without knowing anyone, and Dubai is extraordinarily welcoming for professionals. But the presence of the expats here, it's real. People come, they build something extraordinary, and then sometimes they move on. So you have to be very intentional about building your community here. It doesn't just happen around you the way it might be in your hometown or somewhere where everybody been for generations.
You have to be architect. You have to architect your social life the way you architect your spaces, intentionally, deliberately, with attention to light and warmth.
Yes, exactly. That's the most beautiful way to describe it, and I might steal it.
Yeah, in the last episode we were talking to Jansu that she might get it on her wall. So maybe. Anyways, so the last big question before homework. Where are you betting your 5 next years? In terms of your craft, your career, your practice, what does Olga's future look like?
Yes, I've been thinking about it a lot. And I think the honest answer is I'm betting on the designer who can be both a creative director and a technology operator. The best designers in the next decade will not be the ones who resist the tools, and they won't be the ones who just use the tools. They will be the one who know exactly what a space should feel like, emotionally, atmospherically, culturally, and can use any tool available, AI or traditional, to make the client feel that before the first brick is laid.
Design clarity combined with technical range. The whole instrument, not just one string. Right.
Exactly. That is. And I think the visualization side of this is where the most interesting work is going to happen in the next 5 years. Because we're moving from rendering as documentation to rendering as experience. Virtual walkthrough, real-time material swaps, AI-generated style variations. presented to clients in a meeting in real time right now. And the workflow is becoming more live, more interactive, more collaborative. And I want it to be at the front line, to be honest.
And the render becomes a conversation, not a presentation.
Exactly. And Dubai is the perfect city to be in for that evolution. Because the clients here will try anything first. They walk through a VR version of their penthouses before the foundation is poured. They'll approve a chandelier based on a real-time 3D visualizations. This market push technology adoption faster than almost everywhere else in the world. So being here puts you at the edge of all of it.
Olga, so this has been extraordinary. First of all, thank you so much, really. And I want to come to Dubai just so we can continue this conversation in person.
Yes, it would be so nice. And you know, the studio XBD has beautiful light and you would love it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I absolutely would. And where can people find you and your work?
Yes, I would say LinkedIn is the best place. If you're a designer or client interested in visualization or design work, my Upwork profile is live and that link is in the show notes. I'm always interested in any interesting project. So thank you.
Right, all right. No, thank you so much. You've been amazing and you've been one of the best guests. And yeah, so we'll move to the homework time. And this week I'm giving you 3 because this conversation deserves 3. Challenge 1.
Wow.
Render test. If you have not yet used an AI visualization tool to test a design idea, do it this week. Midjourney, Spacely AI, whichever one, pick one. Find a floor plan or a sketch and see what it gives you. Not for a client, not for production, just to understand the landscape you're going to be operating in. 2. The city question. Think about the city you're in right now, or the last city that changed you. What design vocabulary did it give you that you carry everywhere? Write it down. Olga went from Kharkiv and Xi'an to Dubai, and every stop left something in her design thinking. What city left something in yours? Challenge 3, and this is the most important one. I want you to look at a render you made or a render you love and ask yourself, what emotion does this space make me feel before I understand what it is? Not what it looks like, what it makes you feel. Because if you can answer that question clearly, you are thinking about visualization the way Olga does. And that is the craft. Drop your answers, any of them or all of them, in the comments, or find me at Geeks Design Studio on Instagram. I read every single one, and the best answers might just become the next episode. Alright, I am Divya Goyal. This is the Geeks Design Studio, episode 5. Thank you, Olga, for bringing in the most honestly and most warmth and the full perspective. You are an extraordinary guest, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you very much. And thank you for asking real questions, Dee. Because this conversation, I didn't even know I needed to have, but it feels so nice.
No, thanks a lot to you, and always to every person who listens to this podcast. You make this real. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and I will see you in the next one. Stay curious, stay geeky, and go look at a city differently today. Goodbye.